They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And to Riggins, good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo, the Diesel.
Hello and welcome to Riggo the Diesel. I am Riggo the Diesel. John Riggins, Larry Michael, voice of the Voice and Redskins. We're here, and I was just thinking, it's like, what was his name? Mr. Rourke in that old show. What was it that he had, what's his name, tattoo? Where it was Smiles?
Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Smiles all around when the plane would first be coming in, I think, to land.
Smiles all around.
Big victory down in, well, a victory, I should say. Big. I don't know how you look at it.
I think it was big. I think it was big. It might not have been pretty.
It definitely wasn't pretty.
But it was big. You're 0-5. That's a big win.
Yeah, I don't know, Larry. My scorecard, I got a little bit different because you also were playing a team that was 0-4. And actually, you know, when I think about it and looking at how and this is what, remember in the beginning of the show, in a pregame show, I said that I thought that actually Washington would win this game handily.
Yes.
And they had an opportunity to do that.
Looked like you were going to be right.
Exactly. I'm thinking, hey, and actually I never do this. I have in the past years ago, not when I was playing, of course, but, got to the window, put a little something on the game, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I think I'm going to call Uncle Jerry because he knows somebody that knows somebody. Oh, God. And maybe I put down, maybe I was thinking, maybe 500. I felt was really, and then I thought, I get greedy right away. I'm thinking maybe I want to go 5 yards on this. But then I got to thinking about it, and I went, I don't think I'm going to do that. So anyway, that
could move because you know why.
Well, listen, though.
Did not cover.
No, I didn't.
No, and so I get into about the middle of the third quarter, and they're up, it was 21-3 or something like that? I can't remember, but they were up.
It was 14-3.
14-3.
Yeah.
But there was a moment in time where it looked like this is when they ended up.
McLaurin had a touchdown.
They had to kick a field goal.
McLaurin had a touchdown, which would have made it a 3-touchdown lead. But in the first quarter, I was thinking of John Riggins. 5 sacks.
Yeah.
Got a touchdown.
Exactly.
This is going to be the game that is going to impress everybody, and you really left there just thankful.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying it kind of depends on how you look at it. But there was a moment in time, and that kind of on the one hand, that's where it gets weird, at least as a former player, where you look at that and you evaluate the game and you're really not sure what to make out of it. The one thing you got that you can kind of at least gives you a little bit of comfort is the fact, okay, we finally got in the win column.
Right.
But you look at that game and you have to consider who the opponent was and you go, oh, we still got a lot of work to do here. And for that team, they, had they made the change earlier, it kind of scares you. What would have happened? You don't know. How much more time did they need for a little bit more of that Fitz magic to work its spell over the team? But believe me, I thought like they went from really just kind of pulling away from this team. I thought maybe they're going to hang 30 on them and keep them, down to less than 10 points. And all of a sudden, you got to go down to the very last play. Well, for the 2-point try, or I should say the extra point try.
Don't you go for the tie at home and the win on the road when you go for 2? Isn't that what the conventional wisdom is?
Conventionally, but this is an unconventional.
Yeah, it's unconventional.
Right now.
Two unconventional teams in a certain way.
But
to carry this a little bit further, I think Philadelphia and Dallas both lost. Same thing we said in here last week and talked about, what Coach Callahan would tell the team, look, 0-5 in the trash can, we're 0-0, let's roll. They did that. And sure enough, Dallas gets beat by the Jets, which you go, well, what about Dallas? And Dak Prescott's starting to look like a poser. And Philadelphia gets trimmed and by Minnesota pretty handily, it looks like. So all of a sudden, Larry, in all honesty, things are up for grabs in the NFC East. And so this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because of all the possibilities. And really where right now, if you're really committed to trying to make it into the playoffs, which was your original goal, is that you do have to keep putting the players on the field that give you the best chance to win. And the reason I'm bringing all this up, it goes back to number 7. And what are we doing here? Where is he in the hierarchy of quarterbacks? If he's number 3, he shouldn't be active. If he is number 2, or God, if he becomes number 1, put him out on the field. But until this team, I think I said it last week, until this team, I would say is mathematically or emotionally or whatever, where you get a real feel that they're out of it, unless he becomes, during practice, he can elevate himself and prove to everybody, hey, I am the guy and I'm ready to go. I think that he has to become an afterthought.
Well, couple things. That's a heck of an opening statement.
Yes, it is.
Riggo the Diesel is brought to you by ARS Rescue Rooter of Virginia. Number one, I've been asked a bunch of times, when are we going to see Dwayne? And you know what? If Dwayne is the second-string quarterback, which he was last week, which I believe is going to be the case moving forward, I believe that. He'll be the number 2. Then there are 2 scenarios where you could see him come in, maybe 3. One, obviously, would be a poor performance by the quarterback where you might want to replace him. The other might be his inability to keep playing as a starter, and you need to replace him. And the third scenario could be, which is something I've thought about, maybe you spot him in there, you're winning a game, you want to get the kid a couple of series or something just to get his feet wet a little bit. But to me, I think right now for Bill Callahan, that's not at the top of his agenda. At the top of his agenda is to try to duplicate what he did last week, because he pointed back. Everything he did last week was for them to be able to win this game. And some of the things he did, like a little bit extra conditioning, I don't know if the team was in the sun the whole game. That visitor's bench is in the sun, and it was hot as heck there. So I don't think the guys got gassed out at the end. I think Fitzpatrick did what he does, and they kind of had to hang on for the win. Said they were going to run the ball. They ran the ball. Yep. They committed to it. Adrian Peterson looked fresh, and why wouldn't he look fresh? And he had a decent game. So and the offensive line, no holding calls. Every game, Riggo, it is the most frustrating thing to do the games, and you get a good 8-yard gain on first down, 2nd and 2, holding, 1st and 20. You're in a hole, you can't get out. That has happened a dozen times so far this year. So you add what he did last week to the execution. I got an email to Redskins Nation today, and the guy says, good to see the team put 4 quarters together. I don't know if I saw 4 quarters. I don't think I did. Now, you could say Fitzpatrick, this, that.
Yeah.
Again, the other team, and I don't believe in tanking. I mean, looking at these players, looking how hard this game is, seeing how bad these injuries are, knowing how hard the players of today train, there's no way an NFL player is going to lay down during a game. Of course, Albert did that years ago.
There's a few exceptions.
He did that. But in this case, you say you're going to a team that's tanking. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I just don't believe it. NBA is a different story because, you don't guard anybody, let him shoot threes.
Well, you can't get your rear knocked off in the NBA. Out there, if you're out there dogging it, if you're out there dogging it, there's a good chance they're going to light you up.
Yes.
So it's like self-preservation. You have to go at 100%.
Yes. Well, you played the game at the highest of levels. So that's my 2 cents. Can they do it again against a team that is much better on paper? I do believe maybe a little bit of a trap game for those Niners, but we'll see.
Well, let's come back and revisit this and pick it up again.
Sounds good. You want to go first, John? I got to tell you.
Okay.
I love the way you do your reads. You do your reads during these podcasts, and you have me listening to every word. It must be the thespian in you.
Well, we know that's... Well, okay, I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment. Did you know?
Well, I'm going to kick you in the shin under the table.
He was in... Stevie, did you know that John starred in a soap opera?
No, I did not star in the soap opera.
To me, you were the star of the soap opera, John. I would not watch if it wasn't for you.
Well, that part I can understand. That who really would watch a soap opera? But
and tell Stevie what happened to you at the end of the.
What was the name of it? I can't remember.
Guiding Light.
Guiding Light.
Yeah.
Light. You've heard of the Guiding
Mitch
Light.
Hendon. I remember the character.
I'll take one better. How about One Tree Hill? You probably grew up with One Tree Hill.
Yeah, I was in that. The sleazy agent. That was me. Sleazy. That's
what happened to you at the end, John?
I commit suicide. Actually,
you jumped out.
But I never knew because when they took me out on the stretcher, I still didn't have the sheet over my face. So I kept thinking that Mitch Hendon is coming back. And let's face it, it was a soap opera, Larry. Mitch Hendon could have had a brother, in other words, or he could have had a cousin that looked just like Mitch. Yeah, exactly. So you never give up on your character. I might get a phone call. Mitch Hendon's back. Although I think Guiding Light is off the air.
He landed on his feet.
Probably ain't going to happen. Well, that probably, literally, because I jump off a building. I must have landed on my feet.
I've seen that video. You probably jumped 3 feet off stage. But
yeah, I did. Well, they had a harness and a whole deal on me. It's kind of, and it was about a 3-foot drop. I'm going, well, you know how the actors
it's
unions
an illusion.
are. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Whether on the field or in the classroom, the Redskins believe learning should be fun. That's why we partner with youth entrepreneurs to bring their engaging, hands-on style of learning to classrooms in the D.C. metro area. Youth Entrepreneurs Curriculum was created by educators for educators. That means it's flexible, fun, and absolutely free. To learn more about Youth Entrepreneurs and how to experience it for yourself, visit GetY-E.org.
All right. For a long time, I've been talking about O'Connor Plumbing. 833-RIGGLE-44, 833-RIGGLE-40. Let's get that information out there. Look, they do a heck of a job. And if they don't get it right the first time, they'll be back the second time. But I would say they get it right the first time probably 99.9% of the time. And what's great about O'Connor Plumbing now is they understand your needs. They've completely changed things, and they have expanded their regular hours to go into what would, for most companies, be overtime. There is no overtime with O'Connor Plumbing. Mondays through Fridays, they understand. A lot of people work 9 to 5. You can't be at home, so they're going to come to your place after you get home, and they will be there from 8 to 8 during the weekdays, and
8 to 4:30 p.m.
8 to 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays to make sure that your plumbing needs are met. And if you got a financing problem, you don't think you can afford it, trust me, when it comes to plumbing, you better be able to afford it because it's going to cost you a lot more if you don't get to it sooner. O'Connor Plumbing, 1-833-RIGGLE-44. Larry?
I love that. Hey, Redskins fans, join us in celebrating the NFL 100th with the Fantennial Weekend. October 19th, at 2:30 p.m., come on down to National Harbor for the Redskins Fantennial Fan Day Rally. It is free to attend. Some Redskins alums are going to be there. Some of the original Hogs are going to be there. First Ladies of Football will be there. The Redskins Band will be there. Yours truly will be there. The Fantennial Weekend celebration will conclude with the Redskins Alumni Homecoming game at FedEx Field on October 20th against the Niners. For more information, visit redskins.com/Fantennial. And by the way, in the pregame of that game coming up Sunday. Kickoff's at 1. Somewhere around 12:45, before the team comes on the field, Mr. Jurgensen will be introduced along with you and the Hall of Famers. And this is Sonny's return to the stadium since retiring after 54 years.
It'll be Elvis and his backup singers.
54 years he's been with the team, and he's returning, and we're gonna give him a little send-off to remember, John.
Yes, well, we're all looking forward to that, and hopefully the team will be ahead. Oh, that's right before the game. I was thinking about halftime.
Yeah, so everybody's going to be excited.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
Who's bored? Who's broke? And who's back?
I wanted to always see the redwoods. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. I wanted to see the Painted Desert, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. That was like the land that I always wanted to go to.
John Riggins.
Oh, well, we're certainly glad you're with us here on Riggo the Diesel. Larry Michael with me, John Riggins. And by the way, I just saw an interesting National Geographic special on the giant redwoods.
You did?
Yes, and you realize how they measure these. They're always looking for the new tallest redwood. I can't tell you exactly, but the tallest redwood right now, I think his name is Methuselah. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl.
Yes.
But I'm thinking that it's somewhere around 350 feet tall, maybe a little bit more, give or take.
350
feet. And they found redwoods as far north as Oregon. It was just fascinating. And do you know how they measure these things?
No.
A guy goes up the tree and he drops a measuring tape.
350 feet? Isn't there a digital way of doing that?
High tech.
How tall do you think that flagpole's out there, Todd? You see that flagpole? How
flagpole? I'd say maybe 65, maybe 70.
70 feet.
So you'd have to take about
3 times.
Probably 3 more, like 4 to 5.
4 times.
5 times. Let's say it's 70 feet. It'd be 5 times that.
Holy cow.
I mean, you're getting up there. I can't. Heights do weird things to me anyway. But yeah, and I think they estimate that tree to be. No, not that tree. That tree is about 3,200 years old. 3,200 years old.
Couldn't you get next to a tree in a helicopter and drop a tape measure that way?
Yeah, you might be able to, but I don't know how.
Tape measure.
I don't know which is safer. But yeah, you see these guys going up the tree, like they got spikes on and they go up the tree. No, actually, they don't have spikes because that would damage. I don't know how. They've got a pulley system, but I don't know how they get that to the top of the tree. I don't understand it because it goes. Huh?
I know. I mean, your phone.
That's what I would have thought it had been, but no. To get an official measurement, somebody has to go to the top of the tree. There's people. That's all they do. Then they had that big protest. This is about 20-some years ago. They arrested all these people. Some people got roughed up pretty bad because they would basically strap themselves to the trees. In other words, and because they didn't want these great trees to be destroyed. Finally, there was some legislation, California and the government, and they worked with big business. They paid off big business, the logging companies, And they said, okay, we won't cut the trees down, but it was going on for quite a while. But they had the guys moving in. I don't know what a bulldozer is going to do to a redwood, but I think I do, because a redwood has a very poor root system.
Most of them stay up with a poor root system. I don't know. I mean,
well, it's like an oak tree. An oak tree doesn't have hardly any roots to it. You take a bulldozer to it and you lift that blade up, and you get it up about 8 feet high on the tree. You get a little gas, and that oak tree will come right over.
Really?
You do that to a sycamore, and you're going to be there a while. I've been there, done that.
This he knows his wood.
And Redwoods and the 49ers coming in.
Yes, I thought that was a good lead-in.
Wow.
49ers, Redwoods, and they're just up the street from the 49ers.
Redwood City's right around there.
That is true. That is true. But anyway, let's just follow T-Cat's lead here. Here's the thing, and I'm going to go back a little bit and move it forward with the victory in Miami. You talk about holding calls.
Yes.
I said, and I've said this a couple times now when I've thought about it, I can't really see any other reason for penalties other than you're not focused, and those are the kind that are the false starts, the offsides, that kind of stuff. Too many men on the field, that's just, whatever that is, that's like poor communications. Or you're beat. Well, my thinking is, everybody's going to say, well, that's what it was, and I'm not sure that it is. I'm not saying that Coach Callahan hasn't added a spark to the team, but at the same time, the Miami Dolphins, I don't know, was necessarily just tearing people apart. I think they had 4 sacks going into the game this past weekend. So if that's the case, you kind of got to go, well, there probably shouldn't have been any holding calls because they don't have the greatest pass rushers in the NFL.
You're right.
And you probably are going to be in a play. Now, I think Sunday's when you're going to find a lot out about this team and Coach and what Coach Callahan has added. Because they've got, I think, the number 2 rushing defense in the league, and that's what you're going to, if you're going to lead with that as the main part of your game, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of success Washington can have against that San Francisco defense. And then flip it the other way. They've got, with what's his name, Garofalo, I think is their quarterback.
Yep.
He's finally coming around. You got Kyle Shanahan, a lot of things going on there. It's already rumored that his dad is going to be here to give him a pep talk right before the game. No, I made that up.
You got my attention. You got my attention.
Well, anyway, Kyle Shanahan, who used to coach here, is now out there, the head coach. He's probably going to, I think he does call the plays. So, this is really going to be a great opportunity. See, once again, you always hear me say this, I think, is always look at things as opportunities.
Yes.
In other words, last week was really...
You are the master of... You focus on that quite a bit.
Yeah, I do, because it's true. Last week was really, I would say, not an opportunity, because that was only a chance for a major screw up. If you go down, and it came close to coming to pass, that if they get into the end zone with a 2-point conversion, we're sitting there going 0-6. So games like that are not opportunities. You're getting a team coming in here that's undefeated. Yeah. You're looking to turn things around and to make a statement in your own division and tell Dallas and Philadelphia, hey guys,
we ain't dead yet.
Don't get too full of yourself. Yeah. Right. And so this is a great opportunity for this team to go out there and build on what they did last week. And it's also a great test to see are things progressing and getting better. If there are no holding calls this weekend, you got to go, hey, something's going on here. If the offense is able to score some points, same thing. And if the defense can keep points off the board and they've got a game here where they have a chance to win this game at the end, or they get from the very beginning, they dominate in this game. Like I say, a lot of opportunity this weekend, Larry.
And they're traveling 3,000 miles. It'll be 9 a.m. for them, right?
Yep.
And you got a lot of things happening that might make you think that the Redskins have a good shot in this game. They're 10-point underdogs. I believe this is a game where the defense really has to be the difference. They've forced some turnovers over the last couple games. Really haven't done a lot with the turnovers point-wise. I don't think you're going to be able to run the ball against San Francisco. Maybe we'll be surprised and they'll get it done a second straight game. But I think the defense has to set the tone, shut them down. Juszczyk, their fullback, who's their Mr. Everything, is a very good player. He's out. George Kittle, their tight end, one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Going to have to check him. But to put the pressure they put on Rosen last week, and again, 2 different teams. But I believe this Redskins defensive front is better than we've seen this year. They did what they were supposed to do against Josh Rosen. They really did. You get the vet in there, and he knew what he was doing. And they switched their game plan. They started swinging some screen passes in that game last week to avoid the rush. That worked. So that was a good adjustment by the Dolphins. To me, defense comes out, take the page out of Doc Walker, smash him in the mouth, punch him in the mouth, set a tone, and make it that type of football game. I think that's what you have to do in this instance. I don't think you can come out. If it's a track meet, I don't think it's going to be a track meet for the
No,
Redskins.
I would be surprised.
Because of that San Francisco defense, which is third overall, second against the rush, first against the pass. So you might as well run it, I guess, since they're worse against the rush than the pass, but they're still second in the league against the rush. Tough defense. But, again, there's some things working in the Redskins' favor here, I think, and I don't want to get too carried away. I think something's working in their favor is Bill Callahan. I think he got them focused last week on what it was like to practice the way he wants them to practice. They practice hard. And I don't, harder than before? Probably, because he wanted to change the tempo. He had to change something pretty easy. We're going to work harder. We're going to work longer. We're going to have an extra period at the end of practice. We're going to have some specialty periods where you're going to work on certain techniques. Work for the offensive line. He jokingly said that Phil Rosher, the new offensive line coach, better than him. No holding calls with the new offensive line coach in there. So, and it's just a win, John, I know. But for these guys, they've worked really hard. I mean, they felt good. I've been asked a bunch by a bunch of different people, was it a sense of relief? To some extent, yes, because you didn't want to go 0-6. So
against Miami.
You are relieved that you've got that win, and you're relieved you got your first win. But I think it was a sense of happiness. You win. You go home, you feel, hey, we won. We won. I don't care how we won. Really don't care how we won. We won. And that's the way the players felt. So tomorrow, practice will resume, and I think he's going to put him through similar drills. I think he'll have a different game plan for sure, though.
Yeah, he'd almost have to.
Did you like the fact he said they're going to run the ball? He told everybody in the world they're going to run the ball. They did. Did you like that he did that?
Yeah, I mean, some people were criticizing him for saying that. I mean, how long does it take a team to figure out, they've run 3 straight plays. Now they're, and they're gaining first downs. Now they threw a pass. Now they've run 2 straight plays. In other words, it doesn't. You can tell the world what you're going to do. I've never been one of those people. I mean, to me, Vince Lombardi, you go back that far. I think you knew when Green Bay came to town they were going to run the sweep on you, didn't you?
Right.
And it's just a matter of, can you stop it? That's what it gets down to. As Doc would say, mano a mano. It's a manhood issue. But I want to get back to something I think, and he's really becoming that leader, John Allen, in the locker room. And the things he says are really interesting, I think, because really for the guys that are just all jubilant, like we beat the Miami Dolphins, you got to be able to kind of, put it in context. Yeah. And that is that you can almost feel like you got a reprieve. That the governor called and everything, we're still breathing. But a guy like him looks at this and goes, and I'm sure he expected to beat the Dolphins. I mean, you go down there, it's not we need to get a win. It's like, listen, these guys aren't nearly – and they aren't. I think that those two teams could play 10 times. Washington would beat them 9 out of the 10 times, if not 10. There's that much difference in the two organizations and, the talent on the field. But he just says, okay, we got to win. Now what? We move forward, and I think that's exactly got to be the mindset of the team. Because if they can beat San Francisco, as I said, think of the possibilities that the opportunity and what that will open up for the next game against. I think who is it? The Jets? No, it's Minnesota.
It's Minnesota. Not going to be easy, but you're right. I think you start building it one step at a time, and if you take another step this week, either Philly or Dallas is going to lose. They're playing each other. One of them is going to be 4-3.
Yep.
Barring a tie, Todd. I know you're not betting the tie. But we've got some great stories coming up. But first, helping people improve their lives, which should drive business. That's the belief at Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Koch works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com. And, one of my favorite things to do is play games from Virginia Lottery. It is. They just introduced a new game. It's called Print and Play Rolling Jackpot, a Virginia-only instant win game, starting jackpot of $50,000. The jackpot increases with each ticket sold till the jackpot is won. $2 ticket wins 20%, $5 ticket wins 50%, $10 ticket can win 100% of the jackpot. For each price point, the odds of winning the top prize are 1 in 240,000. Look for it today at your favorite Virginia Lottery retailer.
Riggins. He's going to go all the way unless Blackwood can catch him, and he can't.
They left the scoreboard up. I remember seeing Redskins 27, Dolphins 17. And it was that moment of truth where I went, damn, I'm a world champion.
John, when he walked, he had a little bop to him. And besides that, he had the booty out there. They nicknamed him Chocolate Chip.
Story time with Riggo.
Yes, it is story time, and I've got a great one for you, Larry. This past weekend, there was an autograph show over at the Dulles Expo Center.
Yeah.
So I saw some of I saw a couple of the old teammates. Didn't get a chance to talk to them exactly. Well, I talked to Mark Mosley for a second, and I talked to Terry Allen for a while, who was
He's
here.
going to be here this weekend.
He is. So I figured he
Good
probably
guy.
Yeah, he is. Heck of a guy.
Yeah.
And he and I had a nice long talk. I talked to Chris Hamburger for a while. He was there, and I would imagine Chris will be back.
Is he angry?
No,
he's
he seemed
always
actually. You know what's funny? You should bring that up, because he always seemed like he had an agenda and something was going on. I'm thinking about 40 years ago when he was on the team. He was always thinking about what was going to happen next, I guess. But he was just Chris Hamburger. He was like, he was like Putty, really, in a way.
What a good guy.
Very malleable. Yes, he certainly is. Anyway, though, but the showstopper for me was none other than Captain Kirk.
Shatner?
That is correct. You got it. Everybody guesses. What, Kirk Cousins was there?
No, Shatner, man.
It was Bill Shatner was
Holy
there.
cow, what's he, about 83, 84?
88.
88.
Larry, let me tell you something. I couldn't take my eyes off of him. Seriously, because he looked younger than me.
Oh,
there
wow.
wasn't a wrinkle in his face, full head of hair.
He's got...
Yeah,
well, wait a
I'm
minute.
thinking they got some tools out in Hollywood.
Full
We don't
head
know
of
anything
hair
about.
now, let's be honest,
Yes.
because there was a time
He
where...
might have used that spray can because I didn't get that close.
He's wearing a hat.
Okay.
He's wearing a hat. But Shatner, now he's pushing those oxygen masks for when you sleep.
What
are those things called?
CPAP?
CPAP.
CPAP.
CPAP. PAP. with
Like
a P.
Pappy.
Yeah, he's pushing that all over now. I guess he uses it. So, but the guy's still around, man. I'll tell you what, nothing like him. I mean, him and George Takei's still around. I know he's still around. Sulu.
Sulu. Yeah, that was
I
it.
think there's a couple around. Of course, poor Leonard Nimoy, he has passed.
Yep.
Bones, the doctor, has passed.
Bones.
And I think the other guy, Scotty passed too.
Well, that's probably
Yeah, but-
back 40 years.
But Kirk,
He's living long and prospering.
Let me say this. Now, this is what was interesting about watching Captain Kirk when he was signing autographs. He holds the pen like this. He holds it clear out
like
on
a
the very
paintbrush.
tip. Huh?
Like a paintbrush?
But I think he's a painter, too, so I'm thinking maybe that's the way he does stuff. So, but I talked to the promoter, and I thought to myself, I said, William Shatner, with all the residuals one would think that he's got coming back from Star Trek, Boston Legal. I mean, he's been in a ton of things. And then he also had Priceline, remember, and he had a big piece of that. I don't know whether, we're talking about,
That crashed. He lost on that one.
He lost everything.
He lost the price line, tanked.
Okay, so he didn't get, but at one point I think it was like 100 million strong.
Star Trek residuals alone. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Well, you know
my
what? That's
God.
far enough back, Larry. The union might not have had this thing worked out. I don't know about that. And I don't know if they can go back and do it, what do they call it, in retro? I don't know. But, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, wouldn't you think that William Shatner's probably pretty well off? So myself, I'm sitting there looking at him going, what's he doing here?
Well,
I mean, does he need it that bad? Truth matter is he signs 1,000 items, and William Shatner got paid $50,000.
We're going to get our guy over here to get on his
$50
get on
a
the
shot.
research and find out how many times Kirk has been married. Can you look that up real quick?
I think probably 4.
I'm thinking there are bills to pay at his ripe old age of 88.
An alimony type
I
stuff?
believe he still has bills to pay. I'm guessing that's the only reason I'm coming up with that idea. I'm trying to process it with all the checks that are coming in. Maybe he just wants to. He's the guy that has to keep on moving because when he stops moving,
Maybe he gets to the window. He's got a gambling problem.
maybe
I
he
don't
has
know.
that. And maybe he's got all kinds of problems. But clearly he is still working at the age of.
But he
88.
looked good. There's no question about that.
You said he looked better
He'll
than
keep
you.
on working, huh?
Do you think there had been any kind of maybe?
Well,
kind of some
I'm
work or-
assuming the fact that he's
88, no
88 and
wrinkles?
doesn't have a wrinkle in his face. I mean, do you think he's full of collagen? I don't know.
There you go, Todd, with the
4.
research.
Yeah, I thought there was 4.
Four wives. Is he currently married?
Yes, he is.
He is. How long has he been
Since
currently?
2001.
2001.
Good for Bill. I wanted to go up and say something, but I went, I don't want to bother the guy because it's like, what do you say? He doesn't want to hear me talk about Captain Kirk and, hey, can you do that, or Zulu, or not Zulu, Scotty. I'm giving him all
He's
she
heard
got.
every one of the book. You can't say. He's probably heard what you've heard about your touchdown run against Miami times a million.
Yeah.
Every
exactly.
place he goes.
Exactly.
And they probably do this with their fingers and stuff. They do all kinds of weird stuff. Beat me up, Kirk. All kinds of weird stuff people ask him
And
to
people
do.
go up and give him the Vulcan sign.
Yeah, Vulcan, the mind meld and a whole bake. He tries to pinch you right back here and you collapse,
Exactly. That's like, I think I saw that in Kung Fu Panda, but it's a different grip.
Now, the one last story I want to hear about is, as I was walking in here, I'm Redskins all the time, but I tell you what, I watch a lot of NFL football. I'm a big boxing fan. I don't watch a lot of track and field. Okay, I don't watch a lot of track and field, but I like track and field. I like track and field during the Olympic years. I think it's very dramatic, and you kind of get geared up. And you know what? The marathon has always intrigued me because of the distance that has to be run. I mean, you're talking about the first marathon, I believe, was some Greek guy running to alert the troops.
Carrying a message.
Yes.
I think that's
and
what
he
it's based
died.
on.
It was a 26-minute run, and he died as he delivered
26 miles.
26 miles.
26.4.
Took more than 26 minutes.
That meant he'd been
Which
going
I
60
listened to.
miles an hour.
Yes.
This guy could burn it. That's a record that won't be broken. I'm pretty sure of that.
But he dies as he gives the message to his general that the Turks are coming or something. Who knows what it was?
Exactly.
So now this guy breaks the all-time record in the marathon.
Under 3 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 hours. That's what
Under 3 minutes.
It's even faster.
He's going 200 miles an hour.
He actually would have burnt up because the human body isn't. If to go that fast, the skin would melt. So
And I'm sitting there celebrating this guy's great achievement, and you guys come in and you burst my bubble. You tell me the guy it was not only wind-aided, but he was carried half the way or something.
Well,
what's the story on this thing?
It's kind of, what was her name? The gal that picked up the pace
Rosie
Ruiz.
It smells of rosy. I'm not saying that he didn't run the whole way, but when Todd he sends me this, T-Cat sends me the info like, "Hey, check this out," and I start reading it, and I get down there to where he had cars that would pull up beside him and give him electrolytes and gels and all this stuff. So he's getting, and then they had, which I'm not 100% sure, but it sounded to me like he was running. They had pacers with him, 9 of them, and they ran in a V formation like geese fly.
Yeah.
Well, if you know anything about how geese fly, the leader flies for a while. Then once because he's, dare I say, breaking wind? No, he's actually, well, he probably does that too, but he's actually leading in the pack. That everybody's drafting off of him.
The wind is being broken for him.
No, he breaks the wind for everybody else behind him because they draft him because he's the first one to hit the atmosphere.
Right.
So he's got the most resistance, and everybody else is a little bit less. So that's the way these runners were doing, and they were keeping him back in the line. And when one of the runners that was taking all the heat up there to keep the pace going, I guess he would peel out, and the next one went to the front. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a new achievement in what the human body can do. I'm going, I think you got to do it a cappella. This would be like, allowing, what's his name from Canada, Ben, who was it?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, who won. Hey,
He
Ben.
got popped. He got
hey,
popped.
okay, take some more, Ben. You might have been a 9.2 that day. We don't have
only
any.
averaged 4 minutes and 55 seconds per mile for 26.2 miles. A bunch of asterisk behind it. I get it. Okay.
Can't blame the guy.
Hey, I'm hard line on this stuff. My daughter, of course, this week the Nationals, they won last night playing
Rio, baby.
Cardinals. But who's the shortstop? I can't think of the name. Something starts MM. The shortstop for the Nationals.
Trey Turner, TT.
That's it. Traced as TT, not MM. But anyway,
Two
they
letters,
say that he
close.
gets from the right-hand batting position. He runs the first base in 3.4 seconds. And I
He's one
went.
of the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah.
Top 2 or 3.
Well, he didn't make it last night on one of his hits right up the middle, which he should have beat
every
at.
time.
Well, good God, Todd. Let me tell you something.
Oh,
3.4. Let me tell you something. My brother, who was plenty fast, batting from the left-hand position, he ran it in 3.7. And back in those days, it was like, oh my God, 3.7. That's fast. I think I was like 3.9 from the right-hand side. That's fast. You're going to tell me this guy runs 3.4, and I'm going to laugh all the way out the door. He doesn't do it because then Coco, my daughter, she gets all up in my face about it. So she goes and she shows me a video. And here's the way this works, guys. He hits the ball, it's bouncing, and then the clock starts. Come on, he gains about a half a second right there.
When's it supposed to start? When he's out of the box?
No, they start it when he starts running. Back in the old days, it's when they made contact with the baseball. Big difference between the two.
And there you go. Now you've got.
Now you know the dirty little secret. It's kind of like I've always challenged the times they come up with guys today in the 40. Because I'm going to tell you what, I'll bet you Bob Hayes never ran a 40 faster than 4.4, maybe 4.3. World's fastest human. You're going to tell me there's guys that could outrun Bob Hayes? I don't think so.
Maybe even now nobody could. I don't know. He was like 9.1. Was it 9.1 in the 100 yards back then?
Yeah,
Bob Hayes.
yeah.
Wow.
I think that's what he ran. I mean, he was always and he ran a 10 flat. He never did break 10 flat in the 100 meters. Jimmy Hines would do that down at Mexico City.
Think of how fast he would have gone if he had 9 guys in front of him, shaped as a V, running in front of him.
Well, there's a catch to that, Larry. He would have needed a vehicle because those 9 guys weren't the fastest guys in the world.
That's
he
true.
was.
He would have run up the backside.
Yeah. It wouldn't have worked out for him.
Riggo, we'll see you on Sunday.
I'm looking forward to it, Larry.
Redskins Park Update coming up after this break.
Montana has cowboys. Florida has the sunshine. Texas has everything.
Hey, y'all.
Cali has the 405 backup.
Oh, come on.
Kansas has... does anyone know what Kansas has? But Virginia? Virginia has the print and play rolling jackpot, starting at $50K and rolling, where you can win instantly. And the best part? It's by the Virginia Lottery for Virginians. Odds of winning top prize are 1 in 240,000.
Time to tailgate. We have my Honda CRV with class-leading cargo space, so I can bring the grill. Cousin Bobby's Honda Pilot with seating for 8, and my brother's Honda Ridgeline loaded with fun features like in-bed speakers and an in-bed trunk. Nothing left to do now but sit back and wait for kickoff. Who wants a hot dog?
Get more this season with a great deal on a new Honda, perfect for tailgating. See your local Honda dealer today.
Locally owned Novec has competitive rates and some of the highest customer satisfaction ratings among electric utilities in Virginia. Novec members are receiving more than $4 million in cashback credits in December, and they enjoy the most reliable power in the region. Novec is growing its renewable energy supply, including more solar. Novec, power you can trust.
Is your heating system ready for colder weather? An annual heating system tune-up from ARS Rescue Router will help to make sure your system is working properly and efficiently to keep you warm and save money on your heating costs. Schedule your annual heating system tune-up today with ARS for only $29. But do it fast. This outstanding special ends soon. ARS Rescue Router, heating, cooling, and plumbing. Visit arsofvirginia.com. License numbers 270-505-9347A, WVO 34354.
Call ARS and Rescue Router.
This is the Redskins Park Update. I'm Larry Michael. Coming up Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Redskins and Niners. It is the alumni homecoming game. If you're headed to the game, get there early. Sonny Jurgensen to be honored in the pregame. Chris Samuels inducted into the Ring of Fame at halftime. Coming up for the Redskins back on the practice field on Wednesday. Go to Redskins.com and the Redskins app. After practice, it'll be Bill Callahan, interim head coach for the Redskins, at the podium. Also on Thursday and Friday, you're going to hear from Kevin O'Connell and Greg Minuski. Thanks for checking out Riggo the Diesel and this Redskins Park Update.